Hello and welcome to Gleason Executive's podcast series. My name is Jackie Gleason, founder of Gleason Executive, and I'll be hosting a whole range of amazing and enlightening discussions with some of the most inspirational people around topics which are key in the world right now, affecting businesses and lives and indeed 21st century leadership. And over the many years of working in technology and in boardrooms of all industries, I've had the pleasure and delight of meeting some of the most inspirational and captivating talent from around the world. Those people ranging from world-class business leaders, innovators of new technology, along with the most amazing professors of leading-edge academia in coaching, neuroscience, and mental toughness, to mention a few. And every day, I personally meet someone new who impacts my life and my knowledge, and I would like to share some of this with you. So today I want to introduce you to a lady I have admired and known for some years, who never ever ceases to amaze me with her talent and knowledge and passion for people. Resourcing, Talent and Development Director at City and Guilds Group, Tina Beeden. A little bit of info about Tina, which I'm sure you'll want to know, is that she has held several senior human resources roles in her career and has worked in leading technology companies, as well as media and charitable organizations. What I love about this lady's experience is that it's all around huge transformational projects affecting cultures and people growth and inclusion. So for anyone who knows Tina, her style as a leader is full of compassion, a key trait that I believe is for leaders driving success in the 21st century. And I do speak from personal experience that Tina certainly walks the talk. So a big welcome to Tina, and we're honored to have her here. And today, Tina, you've kindly offered to share a little around diversity and inclusion, something which has been spoken of for so many years out there. Times are changing, and in view of recent events happening over in the USA and globally, this is a topic I know which is affecting us all in so many ways. And I believe we're only just really beginning to take action. So Tina, diversity and inclusion, a subject most close to your heart. What does it really mean?
That's a really good opening question, Jackie. And as you know, as you say, it's something I'm really passionate about. And we talk a lot about diversity and inclusion in all of our workplaces. And I guess what's got me thinking is, what do we really mean by that? And so your question's really a good one to start with. And diversity, of course, means so many things. It's about, the people we are. It's about our ability or disability. It's about, age. We're a gender. We have a sexual orientation. We're a colour. And it's really interesting to think about that in the context of the recent issues. And it's really fascinating and really interesting that we're at a time where, the colour of our skin has become something that really, really defines people. And the movement we're seeing at the moment is such an opportunity for us to start to break down some of those real barriers that we have when we see people. So I'm really excited to be kind of thinking now about, what does inclusion mean to everyone? Well, regardless of our colour, our age, our gender, what does it really mean? And that's really what I'm interested in exploring.
And fascinating. And I think this is a topic we can talk about, for hours if we start looking at as well, if we start going to dyslexia and autism and all those other things as well. Would you include that as part of inclusion? Because certainly within certain industries, hiring somebody that is autistic is a huge asset to them.
Well, absolutely. And as I mentioned, ability, also disability, and that's a physical or a mental disability. We have law around it in the UK, but it's really about you know, how do we get people to think differently and think about everyone and their whole person and what they bring to a workplace. I've I've worked with people in many ways to help them think about the strengths that someone with an ability like really being able to deal with numbers really quickly. We know that that's something that people with autism have a tendency to do really great. And how do we use that in roles that require that? And so it's really fascinating. And you're right, every facet of diversity brings lots of strengths to an organisation.
Given the recent unrest, Tina, and I'm going to put you on the spot here, is where are your thoughts with all this at the moment? Because it's impacting every single one of us, I think. Some more than others, naturally. But where are your thoughts?
So I've, like most people, as you say, have been thinking long and hard about this over many months, not least recently in the awful situations that we see happening around the world. And I've been really challenging myself. I've been holding the mirror up and really thinking about where am I on all of this, and what can I be doing differently? What have I done in the past that might have caused issues for others, and have been doing a huge amount of self-reflection on this whole piece. And what have I concluded from that? And what have I observed talking to others? I've reached out to a lot of people in my organisation in the last few weeks and have come to the conclusion that there's a lot about belonging that's a real basic human need. And for me, inclusion is really about whether someone feels they belong wherever they are. And, we all need to feel that we're part of something, to be doing our best. And I think that's a really critical part of this. I think belonging is, for me, very much in hand with how we get the best from people and help them feel part and included of their organisation.
I totally agree, with you on everything that you're saying here, and obviously, what we're seeing at the moment that's going on is a moment in history. Where are your thoughts around this?
So I think it's a real moment, as you say, and I'm in one way delighted that we now have this opportunity, having been banging on and championing this whole agenda for so many years and have got some way. But what I feel we have now is an opportunity to really unblock some of those barriers that have been there and have not shifted. It feels a real moment, as I say. And I think, for me, it's very much about having those conversations and being prepared to listen and really listen. And when we say listen, I mean really, really listen with intent and understand and try to really get underneath what our colleagues are feeling, what our colleagues have to say about this whole topic and this whole subject, which of course is we're shining a light on right now. And I think at our peril, if we miss that opportunity, we're not going to have that back again, to really be able to have those open conversations and listen and understand. Because until we can do that, we're not going to be able to affect any change in organisations or make a difference. And to enable those conversations to happen, people need to feel safe. It needs to be a safe place where whatever goes, whatever they want to say, whatever the feeling is that's evoked, it's handled in the right way. And people feel that they're not going to be judged by what they say. I think there's a moment we can really start to really check in with each other. And I'm really excited about that.
I have to say, I am too, and talking to some, to many. If we just look at, the issues that are out here at the moment, talking to some of my very closest friends and colleagues that are, female and Black, their stance on the messages that they would like to share is very conflicting, because they really want to step forward and say certain things, and they are stepping forward and saying things, but they're having to do it in a safe environment, a very safe environment. And I think the word safety, I think, is very, very important, and a beautiful word to bring through. And again, that's another subject, isn't it? What does safety actually mean, and who's involved in creating that safety? Now, I've I've had the pleasure of being with you, and sitting with you and the champions, the EDI champions within your own organisations, and I've heard and seen the stories that they've all shared, and that openness, which I think was a very safe environment at that time. And it was humbling, and it certainly gave me some things to actually walk away and reflect on, of things that I may have said and done, or that I might not have been conscious of at all, or taken for granted that everybody understood what I meant when I meant whatever I did. And it's about, as you say, feeling included. I wonder where, let's flip it on its head a little bit. Where do you feel included personally?
So yeah, and this has been part of my own journey in the last few weeks, really thinking, when I feel part of something, if I feel I belong, what's going on for me? What do I see happening? And and I've tried to describe it by really, it gives me confidence. I feel I can be myself. I can have my say and say what's in my head without a filter. Nobody's going to judge me on what I say. I feel energized when I feel part of something. I feel I'm walking tall. I have energy. And funnily enough, I was talking about energy recently, and I feel almost, if the energy is there, it's almost like one of these new hybrid cars that you drive and it recharges, and you get more and more energy, and you can go further and further and grow. And that is such an important that's such an important thing to hold on to, in terms of when we're feeling that somebody might be looking at us and judging. We have to get away from that. We have to drop that feeling and really feel energized. I make mistakes, of course, we all do. When I feel I belong, I feel those mistakes are only going to make me operate and perform better, because I learn from them. I ask lots of questions. I'm a very curious person, and I find when I'm on my game and I feel part of something and I feel safe in that team or that project or that part of the organisation that I've been seconded into, I actually feel I can just ask. I mean, how many times do we hear people say, this might be a stupid question? Well, there aren't none. Mm-hmm. There are none. It's, keep asking them, because the more curious you are, the more you're just being yourself. And, trust is such a big thing in all of this. And I think to feel safe, we have to feel that we can trust each other. And that's not an easy thing. That doesn't happen overnight. And it's something I think we all need to work on, because trust will create that safe place for people to be themselves. And that's what I'd be wishing for. If I had a genie with a lamp, I'd be asking for that.
And that's lovely. And it sounds, Tina, as though you're very in tune with yourself and what you're feeling, and what you need to feel included. But what about your colleagues? How do you check in with your colleagues?
So again, that's not always easy. I have a very open leadership style, and I make it part of the way I just lead by checking in. And I've been doing a lot more of that recently, and just opening up with colleagues about how I feel. And I find that has a really good impact in terms of helping people feel that it's okay to say if things are not the way they should be. And it worries me, because I feel the impact on my colleagues and my team members, if they're not okay, or they're feeling excluded, or they're not feeling that sense of belonging in the team, really can have a real impact on them, not just in terms of the way they perform, or I see them withdrawing from contributions to debates and discussions, but it can have a real impact on mental health, and that is something that, you know, we all need to be much more mindful of now. We're all living in an age where mental health is such an important thing for us as much as our physical health, and we absolutely need to make sure we're protecting and supporting our colleagues and friends at work with their mental health. Relationships are broken down if somebody is not feeling that they belong, and I'm a real strong advocate for making sure that we talk, we check in, and we action where we can. I think it's so important.
And I have to agree, because I'm thinking around some of the some of the discussions that have come out over time, where people have actually said in some of the D&I groups that I've been involved with, when we have raised a particular issue or a thought or a concern, sometimes we've been knocked down with it and virtually put in our place about what we should and should not say. And of course the want to have a voice then goes, and if you're not an external kind of expressive kind of person, then you're coming into other issues around mental health. And of course then we're talking about absenteeism and all sorts of other things that could go on within the workplace, as well as the mental health. So where can we start, Tina? What sort of things can we do?
Well, I think again it comes, as I say, it comes back to the conversations. It really does. And I think, we've seen lots of organisations that have maybe, dare I say, paid lip service to a lot of the diversity and inclusion agendas. It's something that, I've seen a lot of people talk about but not actually deliver against. And I just feel that there's so much more action we can be taking. And I recently was listening to somebody in my organisation talking about this being a real fundamental core of how the culture of the organisation is. People feel that there is this kind of, if I speak out or if I'm open, it will have a negative impact on me and my career and how I'm viewed. We have to get away from that, and we have to start showing action. And we want to have all sorts of people running our business, regardless of their age, their disability, their gender, their colour. Everybody, that mix brings such a great kind of group of different views together that means we achieve amazing things. And action will be the thing that we'll need to see. And whether that's seeing, us put on shortlists, real attention to diversity of candidates for roles, our sourcing strategies to bring people into organisations needs to change. We need to really be handing over the kind of responsibility and accountability to people that maybe make us feel uncomfortable. And that's not easy.
No.
But until we get there and until we make some real changes, nothing's going to change.
And I think it's really important, because so many organisations have been talking about this for so many years, and they've set up their groups, they've done their networks, they've put it on part of their policies, and in some sense, there's a lot of people that are still feeling that it's lip service. And I don't know about you, but I certainly feel that the next generation here is starting to stand up, and all the learned behaviours and that have gone on historically are now being changed. This young generation is actually saying, no, we want a voice. What are your thoughts?
I love the fact that the next generation are showing us the way. I have a son who's 16, and he absolutely looks at things in a very different way to the way my generation and my parents' generation did, which gives me real hope, actually. I just, it's funny, when I asked him recently to describe one of his class friends to me, and he went into a long explanation about this individual young man and the things he liked to do. Mum, the the parent that's ex, or the, you know, this lad that I was on a skiing trip with, and he's the one that kept falling over and messed up on getting off the lift. Mum, you know the guy, I've spoken to you about him before. And do you know, the last thing that he would have used to describe that individual would have been the colour of his skin. And I thought that was amazing, because that's a real change. And I think that just shows me and gives me confidence in the younger generation to think, well, actually, it's not the first thing they think of or look at, which means hopefully the prejudices that are there will disappear. So I have hope, like you, Jackie. I have hope that, you know, the next generation will be running the country, and other countries will be run in a very different way. And I'm absolutely delighted about that.
Yeah, me too. Well, Tina, we're coming to the end now, and I appreciate your time in sharing this. What key things would you like the audience today to listen, to take away with them, or to consider? What would be your key thoughts there?
So I would just say, be brave and go where you feel uncomfortable, because that's where you'll get the most from it. Conversations need to happen, so find a way to create them. Listen, create the debate, and nothing's off limits would be my third one. It's not just about the colour of someone's skin, it's about the whole person, their agenda. They have an age, you know, they have an ability, they could have a disability, something you can see, something you may not, but really, really look past that. It's all those things together that makes the person they are, and the great person they are. So they would be my three takeaways.
Tina, thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time out with us today. And thank you to everybody else for tuning in. I hope you've all enjoyed this. And Tina, take care of yourself. We'll look forward to seeing all the wonderful things that you're doing to take it forward. And hopefully you'll come on and do another chat going forward. I'll put the invite out to you now, she says very cheekily.
Be a pleasure, Jackie.
So until then, everybody, take care, stay safe, and goodbye for now.